An apple a day keeps a doctor away. I say, if the doctor is handsome like me, keep the apple away and listen to what the doctor has to say. This doctor, who is sensible, smart, sober, single, sexy, psychiatrist, Sikandar, says salam, namaste, konbanwa, bonsoir, and good evening. Our today's topic is NLP. Before I talk about what is NLP, I have a question. What is NLP? I give you 4 choices. A. Northern Lights Panorama. B. New York, London, Paris. C. New leader of Poland. D. Neuro-linguistic programming. What is your answer?
D.
Neuro-linguistic programming. NLP stands for Neuro-linguistic programming. Before I talk about what is NLP, let me tell you one story. This is a story of my favorite NLP trainer, Anthony Robbins. Rather, to be exact, my second most favorite NLP trainer, because my most favorite trainer of NLP is Dr. William Porter, the one who is the chairman of NFNLP, National Federation of Neuro-linguistic Programming. This story Anthony Robbins wrote in his book Awaken the Giant Within. On the very first page, he says, when I was flying in my own helicopter and going to deliver a lecture to another city, on the way I saw a small town and there was a big building in that town. I made a circle of helicopter around that building. I have many memories attached with this building because just 12 years ago I was working in that building as a janitor, as a sweeper, cleaner, and today he was flying in his own helicopter. Within 12 years he transformed his life through the use of NLP tools. This is the power of NLP, Neuro-linguistic programming. Not only that, when he reached his desired city, what he saw, the roads were jammed with traffic. The place, the auditorium where he was going to conduct his workshop, all the roads were jammed. He began to worry. What will happen to my workshop? Will my audience be able to reach on time? When he landed, he found out the reason of the traffic jam. That was himself. Anthony Robbins was the reason of the traffic jam. The situation over there was, in the auditorium hall, 2,000 people had booked to attend the workshop, and the auditorium was big enough to hold 5,000 people. Yet there were 7,000 people who wanted to attend his workshop, and they were rushing towards the auditorium to grab a seat before others. This is the amazing power of neuro-linguistic programming. The tools of NLP are so powerful. Yet, I always say People say that knowledge is power, and I always say knowledge is not the power. It is the application of knowledge that is power. If you do not apply the tools of NLP for your transformation, for your success, it is not going to be automatically converted into power for you. You have to apply these tools, and then only this NLP will be power for you. Now, let's talk about what is NLP. N stands for neuro. Neuro means related to your mind and body. Linguistic, regarding to your language, using your language in a special manner, using 5 senses, and programming, just like a computer program. It's programming of your mind. So this is NLP. We will continue with the further series of the lecture. Thank you. And now let's have a short break. And don't be surprised if the whole setup of the classroom is changed after the break. 5 senses, how we can use our 5 senses more effectively, and we will also learn more about other 5 senses, how we can communicate with them through our body language, through our verbal language, and through many of the programs, what we call as ninja programs, hidden programs. In linguistics, as you know, it's about the language. Using, all of us, we use language naturally. In NLP, we learn to use language in a special manner, differently from the others. And programming, how many of you are familiar with computer? All of you, right? Like in computer, we have programs. A computer runs according to the programs which are fed in the computer. In the same way, our mind works the way we have developed programs in our mind. So NLP programs are the programs of our mind. Our body works, our mind works according to the program. If taking the same example of computer, like in computer there is a hardware, so our body, our brain is a hardware, and there are programs in computer software. These programs, mental programs, are the software hardware. Otherwise, what is the difference between one human being and another human being? Physically, they are more or like the same. Yet, in their life, someone is very much successful, someone is just mediocre, someone is not successful at all, or happy, or wealthy. All these things are because of our programs, whatever programs are fed into our system. And the good news is, I always talk about good news and the bad news. Like I say that 2 men were carrying a very heavy sofa to the 10th floor of a building. After 2 hours of struggle, they asked their person in charge, where are we? And how many floors more do we have to go? He looked out of the window and replied, I have 2 news. One is good, the other is bad. The good news is we are on the 9th floor. But the bad news is we are in the wrong building. Here, I don't have the bad news today, I only have the good news. The good news is, usually some people believe that we are what we are and it cannot be changed. Yet, NLP tells us that we can change our programs the way we want. Exactly as whatever program we want to put into our computer system, in the same way we can put programs
in our neurological system. And if we are not satisfied with any particular program, which means any particular habit, we can change it. Exactly the way we can format the hard disk and we can put new programs into it. Like this, we can rightly say that for NLPer, the one who is user of NLP practitioner, human beings are just like a CD or a hard disk. Any changes you want to make into them. And today, before the end of this session, we will establish some positive anchors in all of you. Whatever anchor you would like, if someone wants more confidence, if someone wants more relaxation, happiness, and those anchors work just in a snapshot. Like this is my anchor to get more confidence. Like this, we will talk about anchors also. Yet, the most important thing which we are going to discuss in today's sitting, in today's session, that will be about rapport. And before we talk about what is rapport and how we can establish rapport, let's talk about what people say about NLP. Some people say NLP is the art and science of communication, a communication model based on working with patterns of thinking, language and behavior. The key to successful communication. So, if someone wants better communication, for that person, the good news is it is very much about communication, a process by which you can achieve what you want. And the difference that makes the difference. The beauty of NLP tools is seemingly they are very simple and there is a very small difference. Yet that small difference makes a big difference. For example, if you say, oh, I have got a big problem in my life. This problem will even take away all the energy from the problem. If you change the word and if you say, this is a challenge for me. Mentally it means that I am able to cope with that situation. But if you think of it as a problem, we are very much demotivated. So NLP says that change the word and find a difference that makes a difference. Now, there are many things in NLP about belief system. We are not going to change someone's belief system, yet we presuppose certain things in order NLP to be more effective, to work on us. We need to suppose certain things. For example, one of the presuppositions of NLP is we have all the resources we need to achieve our goal. Now this very often we think that I can do this such and such thing, I can achieve this target, I can achieve this goal only if I have this or that particular resource. And then we say that we already have all the resources we need to achieve anything in our life. Because resources are of two types, internal resources and external resources. So if we do not have the external resources, at least we have the internal resources, which means when we need resources to do something, to achieve some goal, and we do not have those external resources, first we can create those external resources through NLP techniques, and then we can apply it for our achievement of our goals. So NLP says that we have all the resources we need. Then one more presupposition of NLP is having choice is better than no choice. One of the rules of NLP is that if you do the same thing in the same day, you will get the same result. So in order to get a different result, what do we need to do? Do the things in a different way. If you want to go to Dubai or if you are coming from Dubai and the road is Al-Wada Street is very much jammed and Industrial Road or Emirates Road, that is free. What we can do? We can take the other road, which is called as flexibility. Flexibility is possible, and for that we need to have more choices. Flexibility gives us more choices. If we have only one stream, then definitely we have no other choice. So having choices is better than no choice. Problem cannot be solved unless you have an outcome. What is outcome? Outcome is the NLP word for goal. Very often we focus upon problems, whereas the nature of our mind is the thing we focus upon expands. According to the law of attraction as well, whatever thing we visualize, we imagine, that thing begins to happen. And if we are focusing on a problem, then what's going to happen? The problem is going to expand more and more. Just for 1 second, if I give you one assignment, then close your eyes and do not think of an elephant. Now open your eyes. What did you see? Of course, an elephant. So in the same way, in our normal life, we are focusing on our problems. I don't want this problem to happen, and oh my God, I have this much debt, and we are focusing on the debt. And naturally, as a rule, the debt will increase and increase. One of my old students, who was not very much practical, although I taught him all the things about it, yet he was getting into more and more debt because he was focusing on debt. Then what I told him, I said, first of all, do not even think of the figure what you have as a debt. He had 150,000 dirhams debt. I said, do not even think of 150,000 dirhams figure. Think of 160,000 dirhams that you are getting 160,000 dirhams. And naturally, when you have 160, you can take 150 out of that. But if you focus on the problem itself, the problem will keep expanding and expanding. So NLP says that problems cannot be solved unless we have outcome in our mind. If you are driving, how many of you drive? All of you, right? If you are driving just for the sake of driving, will you reach somewhere? First, we need to know the destination where we are going, right? In the same way in our life, if we do not have a goal, how can we proceed further? So, in order to solve a problem, first we need to have an outcome. Without the outcome, we cannot solve the problems. Then, there are many presuppositions in NLP, yet some of the presuppositions we talk about it. Now, as this table is standing on 4 legs, NLP is based on 4 pillars, what we call as 4 corners of NLP. The first one is outcome. As we just talked about it, without outcome, it's not possible to solve the problems, because we need to focus on the outcome. Then only we can. And funny, many organizations, they are having some departments which are focusing on problem solving, which means they start their thinking, their strategy from the problem, and naturally their energy is focused on the problems. Whereas NLP says that focus your energy on the outcome. In NLP there are many techniques and many amazing techniques to set your goals, set your outcome for the achievement of those goals. And when we set those goals according to the NLP teaching, then like this we can achieve those goals. Nothing is impossible. Then other pillar of NLP is flexibility. As we just talked that having choices is better than no choice. For that, we need to create flexibility within ourselves. If we take example of a spring, the water which is coming from the ground, maybe it is coming from a very deep distance, and if that water thinks that first all this soil should go away, then I can come on the surface, or the river flowing. If there is some blockage, the river changes its course. This is flexible. In the same way, we human beings very often we get stuck up somewhere because of this thing I cannot do the things. And then we say that create flexibility within yourself, and then your chances of success will increase manifold. Again, there are many exercises, many techniques to create flexibility within ourselves and in others. Then sensory acuity. We all know that we have 5 senses, and some people have 6 senses as well. In NLP, we teach techniques to make our senses more acute, because it is knowing others that makes us successful, knowing ourselves. So we talk, and there are so many techniques about it in NLP to make our senses more acute and to know other senses. For example, although seemingly people are same, but someone maybe is more visual person, which means that that person uses more words or pictures, and naturally, if we are talking to that person, that this idea sounds great. Sounds is not his favorite perception system. For that visual person, we need to use more visual words. Then there are some other people who are more auditory, which means that they prefer to use their hearing sense more than other senses. We all use our all 3 senses, in fact our 5 senses. 3 are more important: visual, auditory and kinesthetic, which is feeling. Like I am more kinesthetic, and I can see that Mr. Mohyuddin is more visual. In NLP, we study about these things, how we can judge someone is a visual, auditory or kinesthetic, and what difference it makes. We will be talking about it in rapport building, and especially rapport building for sales and those things. For now, just for an example, some people, as I said, they are more visual. They prefer to use words like imagine, see, picture, all those words which give us a picture form. And there are some other words, other people who prefer to use hearing words more. Listen, that sounds great, like this. And there are some other people which are called kinesthetic. They use and they prefer to hear kinesthetic words like feel, get in touch. So touch, feel, these are kinesthetic words. There is a full list of.
Come back after the break. I was talking about the whole list of VK words before the break. There is some noise there. I remembered one joke. Not a joke, this was my incident. When I was young, small kid, my mother took me to the airport and I saw a Boeing 747 for the first time. When I saw the Boeing, I began shouting, Boeing, Boeing, Boeing. My mother said, be silent. I said, oing, oing, oing. So, I want you to be silent and let's resume. And don't be surprised to see this setup again change. Actually, we will talk about this thing also later on, why we change our setup during our NLP classes and your sitting arrangements. Thank you. There is a whole list of these words called as VAK words, and I will give these words, the list of these words to all of you. Here is a list of the words called VAK words, which clearly describes what kind of words visual people use more, what kind of words auditory people use more, and what kind of words kinesthetic people use more and prefer to hear more. Now, our next topic in this lecture, which is about the overview of NLP, we talked about the meaning of NLP, we talked about the power of NLP, and we talked about some presuppositions of NLP, and also we talked about 4 corners of NLP. What are those 4 corners? Let me repeat: outcome, flexibility, sensory acuity, and rapport. Now, a little bit about rapport. What is rapport? NLP says rapport is power. Rapport is a bond of commonality, a feelings of commonality. NLP says everything is possible within rapport and very little is possible outside of rapport. The rapport is, the basis of rapport is people like people who are like themselves. People like who? People like people who are like themselves. Like likes like. In this lecture, which is about the overview of NLP, I will talk little bit about rapport and some ways to create rapport with the people. Before that, remember, generally people try to create rapport through verbal communication, whereas NLP tells us that verbal communication is only 7%. The contents are only 7% of our total communication. Remaining 38% is our voice and intonation, and 55% is our body language. So, to create rapport, we should use the other 93% of our communication. As you can see, verbal communication is only 7%. Contents are only 7% of our communication, and our body language is 55%, and our voice and intonation is 38%. Now, to create rapport, I will give this list to all of you after the lecture. Now, to create rapport, one technique which is called as matching and mirroring is very useful. We can match many things in other people. For example, if you are meeting someone, from the very first instance, from the way you shake hand with someone, you can create rapport with others. How? Just see how others are shaking hand with you. Sometimes they shake softly. Some people, they like to shake hard. Some, they are like fishy. I will talk more about rapport in my subsequent lecture. Here I just want to give you an overview of how you can create rapport with people. Then you can create rapport through matching eyeballs movement, because people move eyeballs differently. Visual people usually like to look up, auditory people like to look sideways, and kinesthetic people like to look most often down. From here you can create rapport. Then through body posture matching. Body posture, if someone is sitting in this state of body posture, you can also talk this. If someone is putting leg on the other leg, or someone is holding his or her arms like this, whatever way, you simply match the body posture, and subconsciously that person will begin to like you, because rapport will be created automatically. Then there are some other methods: proximity matching, aroma matching, agreement matching, feelings matching, breath matching, PTS matching. Like this, there are so many different ways to create rapport with other, which we will discuss in detail in our subsequent lecture, which will be only about rapport building.